Welcome back to the channel, guys, and of course welcome to part 1 of our Revoir to the legendary Bugatti Chiron. And yes, guys, sadly the proper end of the Bugatti Chiron era has officially come to light, where of course the proper release date for the upcoming Chiron V16 successor has officially been given, where of course the proper release date is marked on 20th June. And well, June 20th can't come quick enough, because of course with the fact of that 8.3 liter NA V16, which is of course completely going to have a complete hybrid powertrain, with the fact that that is reported to make over 1800 horsepower, and of course that may very well mean that that is going to be a worthy successor to the Bugatti Chiron. But nevertheless, we are losing out on one of the most iconic, on one of the most legendary hypercars to ever grace the grounds of this holy planet. On top of that, ever since it properly debuted in 2016 at the Geneva Motor Show, with the fact that the only thing that it carried over from the veyron was of course its 8-liter quad-turbo W16, but toned up with the fact that this proper variant made 1500 horsepower to all four wheels. And with the fact that one of the most unique things about the Bugatti Chiron is you got blistering performance, you got luxury, and you got your basic functionality such that you could daily drive this thing, and this could literally double as a VW, such as the brand it is owned by. But nevertheless, it was a proper jack of all trades, with the fact of it being a complete comfortable driver. On the other hand, offering you 1500 horsepower to all four wheels with a complete top speed of 261 miles an hour. Now that's what the Bugatti Chiron properly could do, and on top of that, that's what made it legendary. It was something that no other automotive marquee could ever replicate in any way whatsoever. Other side of the Yesco, of course, and of course that was in recent years, but nevertheless you get my point. But nevertheless, it was a proper jack of all trades, and it always will be. And through its proper progressive evolution, it went on to properly take on some trophies to its belt, with the fact of the first one being in 2017 at the Aero testing facility in Germany, where of course a proper Chiron went on to completely set a new not to 400 km an hour and back to not record of 41.96 seconds. And of course they properly announced that they had set this record at the IAA show in Germany in 2017, and of course they displayed the very car that set this proper record, and they even gave it a special livery to commemorate this complete record of properly being of 41.96 seconds at a proper record of not to 400 km an hour and back to not. And of course that current record is currently held by the Koenigsegg Regera at a time of 28.81 seconds. Wow, 7 years later they are properly chucking it out. And of course Koenigsegg set that record of 28.81 seconds last year, so of course feel free to check my video out on that. So of course it was 6 years later that the proper time was toned down by around 14 seconds, and well, that also makes all the difference. But nevertheless, coming back to the Chiron, the fact that it could do that all the way back in 2017, and with the fact of it being a road legal production car, now that was something that was completely out of the water, and that's what the Bugatti Chiron could do. But it did not stop there. Through the progressive evolution of its models, where of course the most potent variant of the 8-liter quad-turbo W16 was of course properly implemented in the Chiron Supersport and the Chiron Supersport 300 Plus, where those exact engines were used in only these two models, and they put out a whopping 1600 horsepower on its own, topping it as the fastest proper variant of the 8-liter quad-turbo W16. But that's not all, because 2 years later in 2019, Bugatti went back to the Aero testing facility in Germany, and this time around they took the pre-production spec version of the complete top speed variant, or the evolved version of the Chiron, i.e. the Chiron Supersport 300 Plus, and they achieved a feat which is completely deemed impossible by other automotive marquees. And with the fact of it being a proper impossible feat, the proper pre-production spec on its own of the complete record-breaking Chiron Supersport 300 Plus went on to set a proper record-breaking top speed of 304.773 miles an hour, thereby claiming the title of the world's fastest car. Now that was something legendary on its own, and thereby that being one of the many incidents that helped the Chiron etch its name into the complete books of history as being one of the most legendary hypercars ever made. And now the fact of it properly breaking the magic 300 mile an hour barrier, I mean, if you needed any more reason for this to be legendary, this should be very significant on its own. And with the fact of it being a proper near production car on its own, because of course the proper production version could only do a proper top speed, a proper electronically limited top speed of course of 273.4 miles an hour, because there were a variety of differences between the record breaking car and the proper production car, a number of them being the proper things in the record breaking car being it had no passenger seat, it had a roll cage, it had a longest 7th gear, it had more power, and so and so, and a couple more things. But nevertheless, you get my point. For the better part of it being the proper production car, that was something completely unimaginable in the eyes of other automotive marquees, yet Bugatti were doing the impossible all the way back then in 2019, and thereby set that record by properly completely diminishing the 300 mile an hour barrier and setting it at a proper proper high bar, completely untouched to this day by any other marquee. But nevertheless, guys, I mean, what else could you want to hear about the Chiron to make this any more legendary than it ever is? And of course, the proper Chiron's name on its own, the Chiron, was properly inspired to be named after the Monegasque racing driver, i.e. Louis Chiron. And on top of that, this also shares its name with the 1999 Bugatti 18x3 concept on its own, which on its own was named the 18x3 Chiron concept. And of course, that was completely designed by Ital Design on its own, not a proper Bugatti model. It was developed by Bugatti but designed by Ital Design, so there's a cool factor. But nevertheless, guys, what do you think? This is a proper legend, guys. That is a bottom line with its complete 8-liter quad W16. With the fact that this is a complete jack of all trades, it could literally double as a complete grocery getter. On the other hand, meanwhile, packing a proper mean burbly quad turbo 8-liter W16 that properly pitched out 1500 horsepower to all four wheels, thereby making this a proper top speed worthy monster. And of course, you could hit that 261 mile an hour top speed with the speed key on its own. But of course, don't forget its proper line of records, i.e. the 0 to 400 km an hour and back to not record of a complete time of 41.96 seconds set by the hands of Juan Pablo Montoya himself. And of course, the proper legendary 300 mile an hour barrier record breaking top speed record of 304.773 miles an hour set by the hands of Bugatti's test driver himself, i.e. Andy Wallace. And well, with the fact that it's a complete jack of all trades, I mean, what else would you want to properly make this a proper legend? And of course, although it's sad for us to see this legendary hypercar go, I mean, there's way more adjectives than legendary to properly describe what the Chiron properly is. Although of the fact that we are sad to see this go, it is properly going out in a way such that a proper icon of its era should. And well, it's RIP and farewell, or properly au revoir to the legendary Bugatti Chiron. And of course, stay tuned for part 2, where I'll be talking about every single Bugatti Chiron model ever made, and we'll also glance over the last ever Bugatti Chiron ever made, i.e. number 500 of 500, i.e. Le Ultime. Well, what do you guys think? Comment below. And of course, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Remember to that sub button and click the bell to ensure you don't miss out on any future videos. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. See ya.